Hi, I'm Kasim. I'm the author of this brand new book that you can see behind me. Why should I talk about my feelings? I'm a man, how to get boys and men into therapy, and why they'll want to stay. Anyway, so yesterday I was having a conversation with somebody, and we were talking about the book, and I was explaining to them that I've actually already gotten over this book, and I've nearly finished my next book. And they said, "What? How could you have finished the next book? You've only released this one about a month ago." And I said, "No. You have to understand. I never wanted to write this book. Why should I talk about my feelings? I'm a man." The book that I really wanted to write, which was the book that I've nearly finished, is a book which is about why it is that some men abandon their children or are seen as deadbeat dads. I really wanted to know. Basically, I used to work in a high school, and loads of students would talk to me about their dads not being around, and they would say my dad's a lowlife and pathetic and whatever. And I thought, I don't really think that dads just abandon their children. Anyway, I was really curious about why it is that some men genuinely do abandon their children. And what ended up happening was, as I was doing the research for that book, it became very apparent to me that what everybody thought was the reason why men abandon their children were things like he's a deadbeat, he doesn't pay the money, he doesn't care about his children. But then when I started interviewing men, that's not what they said. They would, for example, say things like, after my marriage broke down, I felt like a failure, which then led me, and then after the breakdown of the marriage, my kids were with my wife, and because I used to live with them, I'd wake up some days and my children weren't there in the morning, and it would make me depressed, and then I would start drinking or start and I would say to them, why didn't you go and speak to like a counselor or your family or whatever? And there was, which is what I learned, shame. I learned that there wasn't a place where they would go. Men didn't have a place where they wouldn't be judged and stuff like that. Hence why I had to write this book about why men don't come to therapy, because I began to realize that therapy wasn't designed for boys and men. And then outside of therapy, there isn't really anywhere that boys and men can go where they can talk about their feelings without being judged. And historically, we have not needed men to be emotional. Historically, we've needed men to be providers and protectors, right? Hence why, when I started looking at this book of why it was that men were abandoning their children, is because men have historically not been needed to be the emotional sort of bedrock of their children. They've needed to be providers and protectors. And society hasn't made or created a space where men can explore or that